I think the oil just sort of gives it that crispy versus just a brown feel.
Sarah.
Yes.
more plant-based meals without having to work so incredibly hard at it all the time.
Yeah.
That was the general idea. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Nina.
So these onions are taking their time. Hopefully the pan will get warmer and this will get a little bit faster. But yes.
We've made a batch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their food, like the food that we're going to eat tonight, is done. We are actually meal prepping for homeschool co-op tomorrow. So what we cook here tonight will actually be for our kids' lunches tomorrow, which is very convenient. We're just going to pack them up. Huh?
We do another saute.
No, we don't need another saute.
We don't need another saute.
It'll be okay.
Ixnay or saute.
Yeah, it'll be fine. This is going to get going here. Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it best to start with a pan that's very hot and put your vegetable in, or to let the vegetable heat up with the pan?
I think it's best to put it in a hot pan, personally. But I use a lot of cast iron, so if you don't, you're going to be sitting there for like 45 minutes waiting. Not really, but you'll be sitting there for a long time. If you are using like a non-stick or a Teflon or something like that, which we probably should be moving away from, then you probably do not want to get that super hot, because those can be kind of dangerous when they are overheated as far as what they put into your food. So it depends on your cooking. For cast iron and probably ceramic, I would say heat them up and have them heated ahead of time. But if you're doing something like a non-stick, then you probably would want to heat it up with the vegetable, or at least not get it to the point of hot.
With the non-stick versus the cast iron, the temperature would make a difference in whether the vegetable would become
Mushy?
wetter and mushy
Yeah.
than it would extra hot heat, which would dry it out quicker, wouldn't it?
Yes, and so the heat will absolutely do that. It will sort of sear it on the outside and make it crispy, versus, like you said, it just kind of gets mushy and turns into a
Like
blob.
a non-stick pan,
Yeah.
you get the more mushy and
The blob.
watery.
Yeah, exactly.
with it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We doing the garlic as well?
Yes, so we're going to throw the garlic in with the onions and saute that around towards the end when you're getting close. I found that putting the garlic in, I used to always put the garlic in the beginning and it would just sort of disappear. But if you put it in towards the end, you get the flavor and more of the actual structure, the bite of it.
These are looking really good.
So those are probably perfect. We can transfer those to the bowl, and then we're going to do our broccoli next. And so the rest of these vegetables should go a lot faster than onions. Onions tend to take a little bit more time, I think.
What?
Again, you're going to use the flavor of the vegetable before it to season the next. So I think that makes this sort of a nice one-pan thing. It's good for cooking with kids because there's lots of steps, but they're all relatively technically easy. So you don't really have to, worry about them hurting themselves, I guess. And so now with the broccoli, again, you're just going to stir it around until it's a beautiful light green. If you needed to add a little bit of oil, you could, but usually with the wok, I think it works pretty well to not do that. We are going to season with salt and pepper. Again, this is probably a recipe that could lend itself to lots of different flavors. So if you had something that you wanted to try, or you wanted to use smoked paprika, or you wanted to use some other seasoning, I think that you can season this however your taste desires.
So this wok, Mark had asked me where we got this wok, and actually we got it at Walmart. It's in Stanton, but it's a Lodge, like your normal cast iron stuff, and it's pretty good. We use it really to make. We've gone a month using nothing but the wok. It's just super convenient.
It's good for cooking with kids because it's got higher sides than a regular pan, and so you end up with less stuff on the floor. And me, not just kids. I mean, I also struggle with putting a fair amount of food on the floor,
I know. Yeah.
right? As you can probably tell if you could see the floor here. I think that this has fallen down. Sorry, you probably haven't heard half of what I said. It's doing okay, even though it's on my chin. Cool. Yeah. So, how's the weather?
You know, today it was pretty nice. It was
nice.
nice today. Yesterday it was nice, a little drizzle. I enjoyed
Starting
it.
to cool down?
Yeah. I just did that.
I know. Anyone else? It's getting a little hot. We're going to have to put a little bit of oil.
Sarah, you're using just the vegetables that you all like? I mean, if you
Well, this
wanted
is the actual recipe, but certainly you could add, you could do
like
anything.
cauliflower,
Sure,
sweet
you could,
potatoes, I mean,
absolutely. If you wanted
yellow
to,
potato, but
if you wanted to instead do sweet potatoes instead of regular potatoes, or you wanted to do cauliflower instead of broccoli, or, I mean, whatever. I feel like this recipe would really lend itself to whatever you have in the refrigerator. Easy, kiddo.
Hey, whoa.
You know, it's certainly something that could be kind of like a curry, which I think is a great way to clean out your refrigerator when you've got stuff that's needing to be used. Is this recipe can do that. So this is certainly a healthier option than like the Waffle House hash browns that are, what are they, like smother covered, and I mean they've got
Yeah.
all sorts of different chopped and stuff like that. You guys probably don't eat at Waffle House. I don't eat at Waffle House anymore either. But they've got like this whole list of things that you can put on your hash browns, and you have to say it in their way, which is kind of funny. So maybe we could come up with our own, like what would we use?
Slathered, lathered hash browns or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
So what would we call broccoli? Kids, do you have an idea? What could, on a menu, what would we say broccoli should be? Huh? The green dolphins. Okay. Blue dolphins. So, is that steam or burning?
It's
So
burning
we
on the
cook
side.
at home with gas, and it's always challenging to try to get electric to do the same thing that gas does. I struggle with getting the heat correct.
I think the heat's correct on this.
It's doing okay? All right. So with the broccoli, you're not necessarily going to get the same caramelized aspect that you get with the onions, so you're just looking for it to be a little, you want it to be more than al dente, but you don't want it to be overdone mush. And so we're getting pretty close on that.
We find that once it loses its, like, the vivid green,
Is this working?
it's kind of mush
Yes, okay, cool.
at that point.
Wanted to thank the Squires also for their donation of tomatoes. These are straight from their garden. Yes, Miss Sandy.
So at home, you're cooking one or two at a time. Well, you're saying one at a time in the same pan. So
Yes.
are you just keeping everything hot in the oven or covering
Yeah,
it with
you
tin?
can. It usually goes fast enough that it doesn't require that. Let's go ahead and get those out. They're done. So, yeah, I think that typically I will either just put them on the stove because the stove is hot because you've got it at 450 degrees. So everything just sort of stays warm. I don't know that I would recommend putting tinfoil over it, especially the broccoli. I think that it would get mushy. Tinfoil may work for some of the other vegetables, but that tends to hold the heat in too much, and then it condensates and it gets mushy versus staying firmish. I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're not mixing them all together. You're keeping them separate so the person
Yes.
can take what they want and leave out what
Exactly.
they want.
Exactly. Because we know you hate mushrooms.
Thank you.
And so I wanted to make sure that you could enjoy this. And, you know, I mean, yeah, so this is also a great meal for picky eaters, just a little bit. For picky eaters, that's probably enough. Because they can sort of pick and choose the things that they don't want. But it's got enough vegetables in it that when you've got kids, you can sort of hopefully hide it in there, and they'll get more vegetables than they would normally.
You might have already gone over it, and I missed it because I was doing something else. Did you talk about the oil you're using?
Yes. So this is a Suncoat oil. I would actually recommend probably, sorry, this smoke. I would recommend probably an avocado or something along those lines, but we can't cook with avocado anymore because of our bird. So oil is something that there's lots of different recommendations out there, and that's, we have a bird and a parrot, and avocado oil is just as bad cooking as cooking with Teflon is. It will kill them. Which then I started doing more research on, and the reason is because it's made out of the pit or the seed in the avocado, because the majority of pesticides that's put on them are concentrated there. And so then I started thinking, well, maybe if it's bad for birds and birds are our sentinel, maybe we shouldn't be using avocado oil because it's got a concentrated level of pesticides in it. I did not find that anywhere, but that was sort of my deduction from why you wouldn't use it in birds. So we don't use avocado for cooking anymore. Now, if I'm using a salad or something like that, a dressing, then I think that it's okay in that way. But I mean, maybe not even that way if we're concerned about it for the pesticides. Or get an organic oil or something that you know that the pesticides wouldn't be an issue.
Which one burns faster? Is it the avocado? I think the sun cocoa will burn faster than the avocado.
Both of them are relatively high heat oils, though. And I think that matters, too. So again, the carrots, you're going to cook them until they're soft. You don't want them to be crunchy, but we don't want mush. One of my favorite things about this meal is that it's got a lot of good texture in it. So depending on your stove or pan or oil or all the other variables, you're going for sort of a charred look on the outside, and you can see how some of these are getting a really nice caramelized outside, but we don't want them to be overdone to where when they sit in the bowl for a few minutes while you're cooking the next batch that it ends up being mushy.
And my job here is the same as my job at home. I just do what she tells me to do. It works.
That's how good marriages work.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Are those looking like they're
I think
getting
a
soft?
few more minutes.
Okay. Sorry? How good I have it? I do. Do you know what else he does? He always does the dishes. That's
Yes, I
right.
do.
That's right. And I do.
Tell them
But
what else I do.
he folds or he washes all of the square laundry
Yes.
and folds it.
If it has corners, I can fold it.
That's right.
Fitted sheets, not so much.
And because he was a Marine, he does all of our ironing because I wasn't good at it. So I said, don't worry, I'll never do it again. This is all you, sweetheart. You can do all the ironing.
She ironed my shirt once and she put summer creases in there. I don't know if you know what those are, but summer creases are like summer here, summer over here. So I was like, I'll do it myself.
So now whenever Mela needs her dress ironed for church or, we're going somewhere and it looks like, we need some help, he's Mr. Iron and Mr. Laundry and Mr. Do the dishes.
Yeah, I love ironing Mela's dresses. They're fun.
Yeah. So I thank his mom for that. She did a good job training him.
But my mom irons my dad's work pants, his handkerchiefs, his shirts,
His underwear.
his underwear. Yeah. So, but she doesn't do that.
I don't.
She
Most of them, but probably not the underclothes. Is that looking pretty good?
Yeah, I think we're
Okay.
close.
So like I said, once the pan gets hot, this actually goes a little bit faster.
And you can smell this. You can smell all the flavors from everything we've put in here before, and it's really attached to the carrots. And they have a nice, smoky, charred smell to them, and it's really going to be nice with the other flavors.
This could potentially be a really good dish even if you were camping, like for the Pathfinders, to be able to do something over the camp stove. Like I think this would lend itself. So yep, we're going to do mushrooms first. And the last we're going to do is the tomatoes because they're going to be really juicy and they're going to mess up our pan. So yeah. hope you all are hungry.
You need a little bit of water in here.
Yeah. I really like this. I feel like a lot of the time when I'm cooking, I'm adding all of these different things to make it taste away. And I feel like this meal really just stands on its own where you can taste the individual flavors, which is kind of cool sometimes to actually enjoy what it tastes like versus trying to make it taste like something different. Okay. Sorry? A tetrazzini. Okay.
Hey, looks like we're doing something now.
So there's a good technique for the forks over knives, or more of the plant-based eating. Is water does work really well, especially if you have a good pan, a hot pan, because you get a lot of the juices then from the other vegetables that are gonna show up in here.
I like when we cook with the wok, it really heats evenly around. So you can take your vegetables or whatever you're cooking in here and just kind of mash on the sides. And it helps cook everything, and you still have this reservoir of the juices and stuff down here. It's really cool.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
super cool.
Okay.
Super cool. So, just to sort of do a recap, I guess, while we're waiting. Over the course of the last 2 years, we have talked to you all a lot about different ways to get healthy. There's been lots of literature that has been passed out on healthy habits. Or we've talked about cleanses. We've talked about, when Jeremiah and I first did our initial presentation, we talked about the big things that were wrong with the standard American diet and how what we typically eat, or what the typical American eats, is causing a lot of our disease processes, from heart disease to cancer to other things. And so today, in our discussion afterwards, we're gonna dip into a cleanse that we're actually getting ready to do. So if anyone's interested, we can make copies for you. And I think Nina's probably gonna do a kidney cleanse probably next month. So this is a liver and gallbladder cleanse that we're doing. And I wanted to do this one today because as we're talking about cleansing our body, the liver is the main function. Its function is to filter. And so my thought was if we clean the liver and gallbladder out, then when we do our kidney and we're metabolizing everything out of our muscles, that our liver will be able to handle it. So the next 2 months should sort of sync up together and be a nice pairing, hopefully, as far as cleaning our bodies and going into a season that tends to be heavier food.
Festive.
and fatter food and sugary food and all of the good things that we love sweaters for.
Yes.
Right. I'm looking forward to sweater season personally. Okay. And so then we're going to
She bought a
do.
new sweater the other day. It has weird arms on it. And she asked me how it looked, and I laughed. And she was like, "Why are you laughing?"
It was funny.
It made
It's
her arms
funny.
look like they were only like 12 inches long or something.
Right. So the tomatoes, we're not really going to get the same caramelization that we're getting on these other vegetables. We are basically warming the tomatoes up and reducing some of their juices. So I'm gonna turn this all the way up, and we're gonna try to get some of these juices out.
Salt and pepper these as well.
Salt and pepper also. For those in the kitchen, we are probably getting close to being able to set the table. Yes. Yeah. So the tomatoes are a little bit bigger because they're going to get cooked and sort of mashed down. Again, we're not really cooking them. We're trying to reduce their flavor into sort of a condensated.
Can you repeat that
Umami.
question, please?
Sorry.
Can you repeat
Oh,
his question?
he asked if everything was cut into 1-inch cubes. So yes, everything's going to be cut standard. The tomatoes we did cut a little bit warmer or a little bit larger than this. So just a quick note on these tomatoes. We were at a friend's house yesterday and he had garden tomatoes, and so now is a great time to do things with tomatoes because you've got a plethora of them. And so we sort of get tired of tomatoes because how many different ways can you cook them? But he did a really wonderful thing. They were roasted. He put the tomatoes in, he had a little bit of oil, he did lemon zest on top of them, and then put some fresh thyme in. And as they roasted down, I think he said he roasted them for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then he broiled them once they were starting to pop open. And then he put those over a grit cake. And it was really, really wonderful. After they were done, we were just dipping bread in them. And the sauce itself, even without the tomatoes, was so wonderful. The lemon really, really made it pop, and the thyme was nice too.
When he was doing the roasting, how was he slicing the tomatoes or cutting?
These were cherry tomatoes, so they were just whole tomatoes that he just threw in the pan. And as they were popping open, then he turned the oven off and he broiled them the rest of the way to give them the caramelized top. But they were really wonderful. So the thyme and the lemon in those was really, really great. And I think that it would probably even work with an application like this just to sort of freshen and brighten it up.
And you should let them know how we preserve tomatoes for future dishes.
Oh yeah. So my dad has a dehydrator, and one of the things that we do with tomatoes is I will roast tomatoes and onions and garlic, and then I just portion them off into Ziploc bags. And if I'm making a chili or a soup or something like that, you can just pull them out of the freezer and throw them in. But recently, Dad has been dehydrating our tomatoes and grinding them up into a powder, and then you can use that as tomato paste or tomato sauce or any number of different applications, which is nice for storage, not having to have cans or frozen stuff in case power goes out. This just sits on the shelf and it's got a great shelf life. So dehydrating tomatoes and turning them into a powder has really worked well. And he actually did that with beets this year as well. Not an application I'm particularly excited about but he's very excited about powdered beets.
And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful powder.
So you can either keep this sauce, or for sort of demonstration purposes, I would continue to cook these down until the sauce had reduced. But, we've got some time. We're just running out of things to talk about. Does anyone else have anything question-wise or items that they would like us to try to incorporate? I know we've got cake and tetrazzini. So if anyone's taking notes, cake and tetrazzini are on our list of wish lists. Bruschetta. Yes, wonderful thing to do with tomatoes this time of year. Certainly, that is definitely a wonderful, wonderful tomato dish. Any other favorites?
Recently, at one of our Bible studies, we had tomato pie.
Okay, that's a good Southern
The
dish.
green tomato pie?
No, this was red tomatoes
Okay.
and stuff like that, but and it basically was a casserole and stuff, but
Okay.
but they called it tomato pie, and that was really good.
Okay.
So one of my favorite desserts, I've had a tomato pie, but using green tomatoes to sub for your apple. So it's an apple pie using green tomatoes, like hard green tomatoes, but the only difference in your recipe would be the fact that you're using green tomatoes versus apples. All the sugars and everything are the same. It's absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite pies.
He also likes to do cracked bell pepper on,
Cracked black pepper.
or black pepper, not bell pepper. That'd be weird. But black pepper on his vanilla ice cream with balsamic vinegar.
Yes, I'll explain that.
How
Yes, ma'am.
about red and butter green tomatoes?
I'm sorry?
Almost like bread and butter pickles,
Yeah?
but bread and butter tomatoes with green tomatoes.
Okay. That sounds really wonderful.
Or relish.
Yeah? That sounds really good.
So what Sarah was hitting on is one of my favorite desserts is to do a reduction. Take strawberries, do a reduction over heat with balsamic vinegar. And so you take the balsamic vinegar and you do a reduction with these strawberries until it becomes like a nice syrup. And then you take that hot syrup with the chunks of strawberries you put over your vanilla ice cream, and then fresh cracked black pepper on top of that. It's amazing. Yeah, really
He loves
good.
it. So, okay.
Do you,
Yes,
do
ma'am.
you have any recipes that you've cooked that you enjoy with nutritional yeast? Like a macaroni and cheese or something like that?
So macaroni and cheese has been really tough. I think that Hazel has a pretty decent macaroni and cheese that she has come up with that's really good. Maybe we'll have her cook that. Oh, your mom? Your mom does it? Okay, sorry, Miss Trudy. So we'll have to pull Trudy out of the kitchen and get her in front of the microphone one
She
of
does
these
not
days.
like that.
We have, I do use nutritional yeast a lot. We do a cheese dip that is out of the Forks Over Knife cookbook, and it uses potatoes and carrots and a fair amount of nutritional yeast and lemon, and it makes a really good sort of nacho dip is what they refer to it as. These are not doing well. I think we ought to just put them in the pan. They're just sort of
I
disintegrating.
know, we're making soup.
Yeah, we're making tomato soup here today. I don't know why this is failing terribly, but it's not very happy with us. So we're going to drain these out.
These are
And
not what they're supposed to look like
no,
at all.
They-
Do not take this as a note.
yeah, this is I don't know what happened. Typically they don't get as mushy, but it'll be all right. They'll still work well. So is there any questions about the cooking demonstration? We are going to probably have Mark say the blessing. And then we will get you all to make your plates. There should be plenty. And Jeremiah and I are going to straighten up here, and then we will go ahead and switch back into while you're making your dinners. We will switch back in to getting ready to discuss our cleanse options. For those of you at home, the book that we're looking at is the Liver and Gallbladder Miracle Cleanse. And if you'd like to stay tuned, we can let you. We'll be back in about 5 minutes to talk about this. Just kidding. So this is the Liver and Gallbladder Miracle Cleanse. All things that you can use that probably you already have at your house, which I think is really wonderful, that you don't have to go out and buy a lot of strange stuff. You just have to drink apple juice for 5 days and then do the cleanse in the
Yummy.
end. So Mark, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, been looking forward to this meal. I've been smelling it for a while now. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you that we can come together and enjoy this meal. Thank you for the healthy recipes we're learning here, and thank you for the fellowship. Lord, please be with us tonight. And thanks again for delicious food. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Do we need any more of these?
Nope, these are all done.
Okay.
We're done with everything. So let's take this stuff back to the kitchen, and we're going to use that to make kids' lunches for tomorrow, so we don't have to stress about that.
Everybody's kid lunches?
Yeah.
Cool.
I did have one question I just
Sure.
thought of about selecting an oil to prep your meal with.
Yeah.
Are you concerned with the type of fats in the oil? Is that really what you're looking at? Like monounsaturated, polyunsaturated?
Yes. So I do think that all of those have to do with it. I also care about the processing of it. So
Right.
like canola oil we should never use. There are other
What about like
oils.
safflower oil?
Yeah, man.
You'll have to,
They just
yeah, I
take
think
this whole thing
safflower
over
oil
there?
is good.
Sunflower oil, it's
Sunflower,
ratio
yeah.
It's not worth it.
polyunsaturated,
Right.
saturated.
Right.
Because ours are
So that's why
running
we
at-
ended up going with this
Really?
sunflower coconut blend. It's organic.
Must be them
I feel
Squire
good about
tomatoes.
it. Like as far as oils go, I feel like this is a good one. But you know, it.
And are you also concerned with, is it called the sear rating on the oil? Or flash point where it starts to burn?
Yes, and so you want a higher flash point oil. And I actually was
Like
watching
if you get a really high quality olive oil,
Right,
it doesn't burn.
right.
So would that be a better choice than say this
Absolutely.
one then?
Yes, sure. I mean, yeah, an olive oil is really this is
we're
what
gonna
I'm
let these
looking
cool
to
down.
do, and she should be. That sounds like a wonderful. What's
But I
what's
turned
that
them off.
store? I'll mention that.
Cheese to you, it's right next to the Robert E. Lee.
The Robert E. Lee. Okay. Well, I will mention that, or maybe have you mention that when we come back on while we're eating, because I think that that's a great
I don't know the
tip for
lady's
people.
name though, I talked to her.
Okay, but even still, yeah, I think that that's a good.
They'll
that's
cool down
so
quick.
And the other thing she's got that I absolutely love, that would be great on something like this. She's got these really high quality sauces.
No, we can use them. I mean,
I don't know if you've ever tried.
yeah, we'll do whatever we need to do. Make sure no one gets burned. Sorry.
Thank you.
Let me get it. Yep, don't fall. I know it's. I did. I thought you were like trying out for cheerleading or something. It's like it's split.
It's something I hadn't really investigated.
But that's wonderful.
Yeah.
How come they call it a boat? Oh, hold on. Okay. So this is. Am I still on, Sean? Am I on? Yes. So this is traditionally called a boat because it would be in between two pieces of toast. And so that makes it the boat. And then my son actually wanted to put little flags on top, but we didn't get that done today. So, but yes, the tradition would be, the original recipe has it between two pieces of sourdough. I just thought for tonight it was kind of warm to be adding extra carbs in. So, all right. Well, I'm going to let you all finish plating and actually going to take a minute and get a drink of water, I think.
I'll finish cleaning up. Pardon me, sir. I'll get right by you.
So, for those of you online, this is what our buffet looks like, and we would love to have you come and be a part of it with us. But yeah, so this is what our table looks like tonight, and you can see those kids are just absolutely loading up their plates with vegetables, which we all love. We all love to see.
Potatoes in the oven.
Good.
Get a plate, man. You good to see you? Get a plate.
I am.
Enjoy.
You brought it. Smells so good when I walk
spice? Huh, and I did not put any pepper, anything on those.
It's good.
It's just being sauteed in the whole,
You guys didn't cook the black olives, right? It's
no.
not warm, it's just room temperature.
Yeah.
We will go ahead and get back started. Hopefully, those of you online are still with us. So like I was sort of alluding to in the very beginning, Jeremiah and I started our health journey 4 years ago. He's not paying attention. 4 years ago? 4 or 5? 4 or 5 years ago. It was before COVID, so that's how we mark everything in life these days, right? So we both were really unhealthy. We had gained a lot of weight. We were having different ailments. I was having gallbladder pain. I'd been to the doctor, and they basically said that I needed to have surgery. And we had decided not to do that. Jeremiah was having plantar fasciitis. He had other issues going on. I had high blood pressure. And so we started this journey to sort of figure out how we could heal ourselves, because going the traditional route wasn't what we wanted to do for ourselves personally. That's not to say that we are doctors, so nothing that we're saying here tonight should be taken from a medical standpoint. This is sort of our journey moving forward. Please do your own research, talk to your own doctor or consultant in health, and figure out what works for you. So we did an elimination diet initially. We did an elimination diet of the top 8 allergens that affect people, and then eliminated a lot of other inflammatory foods. So on that list was dairy, gluten, what else was on it? I'm blanking now on all of them, of course. Sugar, yes, thank you. There's a reason I always forget that one, because I still struggle with sugar. So yeah, so sugar should have been at the top of that list as far as inflammatory foods, but you know, alcohol was on the list. Pork was on the list. I don't think that probably many of us eat pork, but pork is a very inflammatory food, and it causes a lot of problems both in animals and in people. So it is the number one cause of pancreatitis in dogs, just as a fun fact. Since I'm a veterinarian, I like to throw those out. So pork just in general is something that we have gotten away from, and we started that even before we realized anything else about that. So through this journey, we've sort of worked along and we've healed ourselves, and I believe that food is both a poison and a medicine, and it depends on what you're doing. And so when you're making these healthy choices, any small choice that you can make helps, right? So you don't have to do it all at once. It's kind of like homesteading. If you go in wholehearted and you're going to make everything on your own, you're going to get really overwhelmed and you're going to potentially fail. But if you make small steps, then as those become integrated into your normal life, then it becomes easier, and then you can tackle the next thing. So it's small steps, it's making conscious choices. We were speaking earlier about oil choices, and so there's a store in Lexington called
Cheese to You.
Cheese to You, and they've got really great good quality oils. So if you're looking for a good quality olive oil, which is a great oil to have in your diet, in some people's minds, I don't know. It goes back and forth depending on. I like olive oil. I'm just saying, like, if we're going the whole food plant-based, then oil is eliminated. But if we're going to have some oil in our diet, we just have to pick and choose the oils, and you're going to use them at a conscious level, not just dumping them in. So, anyways, but Cheese to You?
Cheese to You.
Cheese to You has a whole chart, apparently, of different oils and the flash points and things like that. The owner of that shop is really knowledgeable, and so if you're looking for good quality oil and you have questions, that may be a really good place to go and discuss. She also has other things, cheese probably being one of them, and balsamic vinegar and things along those lines. So again, none of this is designed to necessarily sway you one way or the other, but just make conscious decisions and do it step by step, and eventually you'll find that you're feeling a lot better as you go. So there are lots of cleanses that you can do. There are lots of programs that you can do. We originally started with Arbonne. Like I said, it's a 30-day program. You replace 2 meals with a shake, and then you eat a sensible dinner that's avoiding all of these other things. And so that worked really well for us because we had young kids, and the idea of making different meals for all of us just got to be overwhelming. So we did that as our sort of starting program. And we have sort of since then worked off of it and come up with our own version
we have our
of health.
favorites, but the elimination process is probably it's really the hardest, especially if you're accustomed to certain things and you want to make a healthy move, and eliminating that stuff, there's going to be some crankiness, right?
Right. Well, it's withdrawals.
Yeah.
Your body wants it. Your brain wants sugar. It's on the same receptors, I believe they say, as heroin, and so it has a really strong desire to have these. And as we break those bonds, it can be difficult, and you can have headaches, and you can have things. One of the things that I liked about the Arbonne cleanse was that they have a fizz drink that it has just enough sugar in it that when you're feeling like you've got a craving, it helps you. It gives you something so that you don't go back to something bad like a candy bar, but you're making a better choice. It's a smaller sort of step down program.
Or M&Ms.
Or M&Ms, right, which used to be his go-to lunch. So having said that, today I wanted to talk to you about the liver gallbladder cleanse. I've done this a few times. While you're eating, I'm going to spare you a lot of the great details of it that are very exciting. But one of the things that I found to be most exciting was the signs and marks that you need a cleanse. Because I have a lot of people often ask, like, well, how do you know if you need a cleanse? Well, first of all, I think everyone sitting in this room, if you haven't done one recently, needs one. Just sort of as a blanket thing. But they have a lot of really cool signs in this book that sort of point to things that point to things that you may not recognize as being a health issue. So obviously, liver and gallbladder. Liver is all across the top part of your abdomen. Gallbladder is here on your right. But this talks about, for example, horizontal wrinkles across the bridge of your nose are a sign of pancreatic disorders due to gallstones. So when you're looking in the mirror and you're reading this book, you're like, oh my gosh, I have a horizontal line across my nose. Like this is something that may potentially be an issue. Right, and your nose. So if you look at the tip of your nose, it will point, hold on, this is a really cool one that if you look at most people, you'll see their nose deviates. Nose bending towards the left. So if your gallbladder or liver is in need of a cleanse, like your body is screaming at you. It's telling you all the time, like, hey, this is what's going on with me, and we just have to learn how to read the signs so that we understand what it's saying. And when you learn to listen to your body, then all of this becomes much easier, because after you do an elimination diet and then you reintroduce things back in, your body will very quickly tell you if there's going to be an issue with it, either through a headache or some other process. But if you learn to listen to your body, all of this health stuff just gets a lot easier. But I thought that one of the signs of the nose deviating to the left was really cool. So go home and look at your partner tonight and see if you guys need to do this together.
She did it to me. It was very uncomfortable. But also the horizontal lines that are in between your eyebrows.
Those are not aging. Like no. we think of those as aging, but these lines actually tell us that we're having gallbladder and pancreatic issues, and that most likely it's in need of. But I think that most of us, we look in the mirror and we've got this cream and we're just patting it on our face, hoping these lines are going to go away. But really, these are signs that we need to be making a change. So if you're interested, I've got this marked in the book. There's too many to really talk about, and definitely some things that we don't want to talk about. But arrhythmias, panic attacks. Anyways, there's just a lot of really cool signs that your body is trying to tell you.
This will be your third cleanse, right? that you
Right, this will be the third one that I've done. You can safely do this every 6 weeks, I believe. It does say in the book how often you can do this. And then it also gives instructions on when you know you need to do it. So if you haven't cleansed fully out, then it will suggest that you do it again in 6 to 8 weeks and 6 to 8 weeks until you're completely eliminating all of the gallstones. But the general premise is that you drink a liter of apple juice, and you want this to be with the unfiltered, I guess is what you would say. Yes, you want this to have pulp in it. Ideally, now is a great time to do this because apples are readily available, so you can either make your own juice, or pretty much every roadside shop has fresh pressed apple juice. So the fall is a great time to do it. Again, coming off of summer, we may have been eating foods that we shouldn't have for convenience reasons, throwing them on the grill or whatever that may be. And then you're also going into fall where we tend to eat more sugary, carby foods because it's cold and we want that comfort.
Will hard cider work for this cleanse as
I
well?
don't think that hard cider will do. Yeah, Bold Rock's not going to cut it. That's not the apple juice that we're looking for, albeit probably good. I assume that apple cider is basically apple juice, right? I mean,
what's
it's
the
just,
difference between cider
it's
and juice?
unfiltered, right? Oh, it is fermented?
Okay.
Oh. I don't know.
Probably apple juice then.
Yeah, apple juice. So the idea is that the apple juice is going to soften the gallstones. So you do a liter for 6 days. You're going to do that, and it softens the gallstones, and it helps prepare your liver for the cleanse. Also, during this week, you don't want to drink cold beverages with ice in them. Everything needs to be room temperature or warm because cold actually sits right on your liver and sort of causes issues. So if you're having liver or gallbladder, one of the things that I've learned is that you really shouldn't be drinking cold liquids because it slows the processing down of your liver. So that's sort of just a fun fact. During the week leading up, you're going to eat clean. So you're not going to overeat because overeating is a problem with gallstones. That's one of the reasons that you end up with gallstones. So you want to eat light meals and you want to not overeat and you don't want there to be fat or grease or anything like that. So you're going to want to eat clean, no dairy, things like that for the week leading up. And then you pick a day where you're going to be at home, and you do the actual cleanse. And again, if you're interested in this, you can we'll take a picture of it and you can see how to do it. But basically, it consists of Epsom salt. The night before, you go to bed, you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then you drink virgin olive oil. So going and getting a good quality olive oil from cheese to now is going to be really important. You're trying to cleanse your body, so you don't want to put more junk in it. And grapefruit juice or fresh lemon or orange juice, and that's a 1 glass thing. And then you're going to follow that with another Epsom salt drink. And so it's got timing for you, but it's an all-day affair. And then when you break a cleanse, I think it's really important to be gentle, right? You've just stirred up a lot of toxins in your body. You may have headaches. You need to make sure that you're resting and that you're drinking lots of water to sort of flush things out. And then don't go back and go to Kenny's Burgers and get fried chicken or whatever your favorite thing is after you finish, like a broth or a gentle soup or something like that to sort of ease your way back in. And there are lots of these as options. Like I said, I felt like today would be appropriate to talk about the liver and the gallbladder because we're going to be talking about kidneys next month. And so we want our liver to be functioning at its highest level for when we start filtering our whole body. And so hopefully this will give everyone sort of a jump start to feeling good and to living healthier and to seeing huge improvements. I mean, I know that through food and these home remedy cleanses, we have changed our life and changed our health. And I think that has enabled us to be healthier parents, to be around for our kids, to hopefully teach them how to eat well so that they don't have to have issues.
Didn't
Although
they had
we-
a Sprite yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah. But everything in moderation, right? I mean, if you take everything away from them, then when they go to a birthday party, they end up making themselves sick. Versus if you give them a little bit here and there, they learn moderation also, right? I mean, it's all about doing it to a limit. Now, there are going to be some things that you just want to stay away from completely, but obviously there are some things, so long as you can manage your sugar, which I cannot, that you can have on an occasional basis. That's sort of the nitty-gritty of it. Are there any specific questions or any comments or any other ones experiments or experiences?
We think it's best to have accountability partners. So if you live with someone, try to have them do it with you, because it's really difficult to be that one odd man out, so to speak,
Right.
and trying to make this work. And so trying to be on the same page. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's a lot better when you have someone who's there with you, kind of keeping it to you. So.
And September and October are actually really good times of the year to do cleanses because there aren't holidays associated with them. I mean, pretty much every other month in the year, with the exception of a few in the spring, which is another good time to do this, right? We'd like to ideally do this several times a year to clean and to give us the most maximum benefit, maybe.
Yeah.
But these next couple of months, it's a good time to do this. You've got readily available good food and vegetables, and so
you could go
it's
into Thanksgiving and Christmas
feeling better.
pretty good about
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. And so if you have one bad day, like it'll be okay. It'll balance out. So, any other questions or experiences or comments?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't venture away from home too
Yeah.
far.
Don't leave that day.
I just wanted to say that for the locals, on September 20th, which is a Wednesday, at the Lexington Farmers Market, we are running an apple festival.
Okay.
Oh.
Perfect.
So it's a great time. I mean, obviously, it's a wonderful crop for Virginia, and it is harvest season. But that day in particular, every vendor at the market is going to do something with apples, have some great recipes to feature and dishes, things to maybe inspire you for your own holidays.
Cool.
And there's going to be a variety of different apples, including organic apples. And there's also some local merchants around town that are also honoring that festival with their own way of participating. So it's
That's
a great
wonderful.
time to
Thank
be
you.
doing
Yeah,
this.
Thank you for that.
absolutely.
And that's the 21st, you said?
September 20th, it's
Okay.
Wednesday.
20th. Okay.
And it's during regular farmers market hours,
Is that 4 to 7?
which is not,
Okay.
it's 8 a.m. to 12:30
Okay.
in Lexington. The
Oh, in
Buena
Lexington.
Vista Farmers Market is
Is
4 to 7 on
Okay.
Thursday.
Okay. So this is
It's
the
in Lexington.
Lexington one.
Yeah,
From 8 to
8 to
12.
12:30.
Okay. So yeah, great way to get some fresh apples. Wonderful. Anyone else comments or questions? We have obviously plenty of time, so if you have questions or comments, I mean, we'd love to talk about it. If you would like to come up and look at the book, you're welcome to do so. I'm sure that you can get this book on Amazon. I got it from a health store, but if you're at home and you're interested, I mean, we could probably take pictures of it so that it can be online and easily found. But I think it's a great book. And I've done it several times, and it has made a huge difference in the way that I feel. And seeing the gallstones is actually really cool and sort of validating that you made the right decision, and that you chose to heal yourself instead of just remove a really important organ.
So did you actually, they kind of went into remission in a way that you didn't have to have the gallstones removed?
Oh, I didn't have to have surgery at all. No, I basically told the doctor that I wasn't going to do that I was going to heal myself and walked out. And, you know, here's the thing. If you have calcified gallstones,
Yes.
you can still heal yourself, but you are at more risk for rupturing and problems, okay? So I did not have calcified gallstones, which made this more of an option, okay? So if you are having an active gallstone attack, then this may not be something that you have time to play around with because it can be dangerous. But if you
That's
aren't,
fine.
Yeah, if you aren't doing that, then I think that playing with this is fun. It was interesting in here. It has a list of foods in order that cause gallstone attacks. So let me see if I can find that real quick, because I thought that was really interesting.
Is that the list you read me?
Yeah, it started with eggs,
Terrible.
which was really interesting because I wouldn't have really thought that they were super.
My experience and the reason that I had
Yeah.
gallstones, I was only about 19 or 20 when I had my gallbladder removed. But I'd been through an accident and had lots of medications and
Yeah.
things that probably caused calcification.
Sure, absolutely. And all of those things, again, it's clogging up your liver because your liver is trying to filter them out. So that's, again, why it's so important to take care of our liver, because without that, everything else in our life gets built up. You know, there's nowhere for it to go. You have
And
to.
it seems epidemic even in this area.
Yeah.
That there are a lot of people who have cirrhosis from having fatty liver.
Right.
That
Sure.
could be preventative.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things that we really strive to do here with this program is to help our community, because there are a lot of people that don't know where to turn, you know, and not that there's anything wrong with going the mainstay doctor route. I think that there's a lot of really good things that can come from that, but I also know that the majority of our physicians maybe get a week of nutrition or less, if any. Yeah, so 8 hours of nutrition on how to heal your body, and they just don't know. And so if you are like us and you like to take things into your own hands, it can be really empowering to be able to learn that you can in fact heal yourself. And so we're hoping with teaching people healthier options or alternatives to what you think, that this program can sort of help jumpstart people into finding their health journey on their own. I'm still looking for this. Sorry, if there are other questions, it's pretty interesting. I really want to find this for you. But I'm struggling.
Just look through the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, feel free to come up and look through the book, and I will keep looking here. Thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoy the potato boats. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So we hope that you enjoyed the potato boats. There's plenty left over. If you need anything, please let us know. And otherwise, thank you for being here. Next month is going to be the second Sunday of October. Wow, where'd this year go? Yeah, so the second Sunday of October. Please tell your friends, spread the word. Bring people in if you have a neighbor or you know someone that could really benefit from this. We try to make kid-friendly recipes, so if you have kids in your family or children in your life or teenagers that need to make life changes because they're eating a lot of processed food, I mean, this is a great way to hopefully sort of get our community involved. So please spread the word. And
Wonderful date night.
Yes, it's a great date night, and you don't even have to pay for it. You just get
it's
to come and hang out together.
Hey, but real quick, I wanted to say thank you to Sterling for setting all this up.
Yes,
and just
thank you, Sterling.
Sterling's the man behind the scenes that makes sure everything is set up and pristine and perfect. So we really appreciate that, man. Thank
No.
you. Yeah. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, babies.
Test.
I really love this book. I feel like it's made a big difference, and I particularly love the fact that these are ingredients that most everyone already has in their house. I mean, probably not 6 liters of apple juice. I don't know anyone that has 6 liters of apple juice, but everything else does. So, Miss Nina.
Okay, so I'm especially excited for next month because there's this really fun program out that's been kind of taking the nation by storm called Salads in a Jar. And it's an opportunity for us to come together and kind of like today where you choose your own adventure, you put the things in on your plate that you want to eat. You'll be doing the same thing. Whoops. Are you okay? I am, but I don't know why.
this table moved on you. I'm sorry. It's got wheels.
Okay.
Don't.
All right, we'll try that again. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, take two. Okay. So, again, back to this idea that we all want to have easier access to healthy food. And one of the reasons why fast food is so popular is because they make it so easy for us. You just drive up and you get everything you want. And if we could only have healthy food that's that fast, well, a salad in a jar is that option. Because you're going to end up going home with having made maybe 2 or 3 salads like this, and you'll be able to put in there exactly what you want. And then, when you open up your fridge, the only decision you have to make for a healthy meal is, do I open the door with my right hand and reach in with my left hand? Or do I open the door with my left hand and reach in with my right hand? But you will have one healthy meal that's customized to exactly what you like, because you're going to choose what goes in there. And the trick is in how it's all layered. And what's amazing and ridiculous is that when you put together your salad, if you follow the formula of what goes first, next, etc., and you build it all through here, your salad, as long as you're using a glass jar, preferably the Mason ball Kerr type jar as opposed to reusing a spaghetti jar, because there's something about how that lid on top kind of really closes in and seals. But you will be able to keep your salads fresh. Like when you open them, they're going to be just like the day you made them. I will tell you, guaranteed 5 days, some of them 7 days, some of them even 9 days. And the other thing that you'll also learn at the same opportunity is if you store your produce, like your salad greens, even before you make a salad in a jar, but if you just store your romaine or iceberg or arugula, whatever it is, in a glass jar like this, it will last 2 weeks. No more buying things and using half of them and then having to throw out or compost the other half. So these glass jars really kind of create miracles for us. So what we're going to do, and I wonder if I can maybe just show, let's see. So that's an example of a layered salad in a jar. However, I want to show you a real one, not the, like this is, oops, that way. That, and then when I run these programs in community, I want to show you, the other picture is maybe too small, but that way. Let's see if the picture will. Yeah, I don't think so. But anyhow, you get the idea. So everyone ends up making a bunch of salads. And what's really fun about it is that we'll have a whole table here with all of the different choices. And you walk around and you fill your salad in a jar. And before you know it, you can make 5 to 7 jars. That's 5 to 7 full meals in 30 minutes. And the beauty of it is when you then go home and start doing this with your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers, if all of you, there isn't one person that needs to bring 7 or 9 things. If all of you bring 2 different things and just bring enough to share, how hard is it to bring 2 different things? And then you create this big sort of salad bar buffet, and everyone goes around and puts in a spoon of this, 2 spoons of that, a little sprinkle of this. And you have this whole layered fresh meal ready to go, customized. Everyone works in community. There's no burden on anyone, and you can create 5 to 7 custom fresh meals in 30 minutes. It's so much fun. So we're going to set that up, and that's what next month is. Bring your friends. What we're going to try and do is 2 or 3 salads per person to go.
Are they bringing their jars too? Or we're going to provide?
Yeah, so the key is it has to be wide mouth. That's why I brought this, and I'll tell you why. Because we're all going to wear food gloves, and we're going to walk around, because otherwise, if we're trying to do this with a spoon or a fork, there'll be a lot of food left all over the floor. So with a gloved hand, you can put your hand right in the jar, and it's the best way to have like a whole week's worth of meals done in 30 minutes. So you might only make 2 that night for yourselves, but you'll see how it's done, and then you'll be able to go home and keep it going and try and pay that forward. And on the pay it forward idea, what I do like to do is when I create these in community and we try and put together 5 to 7 jars per person, we always ask people that whatever you've made, try and give 1 jar away. Find somebody around you that is having trouble either eating, either food insecure or eating healthy, or just doesn't have the energy or the time, or somebody elderly or exactly homebound. Right. There's just exactly. There's so many different choices. So whatever you make that night, again, it's an example for you to see, and then you can go on and keep doing this on your own. But maybe we're going to ask you to think about paying 1 jar forward to whomever, the food bank, whatever you'd like. We're not going to dictate where that goes. And then after the meal, then I want to talk about a liver and kidney cleanse that is, again, made from commonplace ingredients that you can get right at Food Lion, nothing particularly fancy, and incredibly effective. And that's what next month is all about.
And 1 or 2 friends. And I have seen where this is a great way if you're. They said next month we will have our own. I'm trying to do this. Next month we will provide jars, but please try to bring 1 to 2 wide mouth jars and friends with you, but not wide mouth friends. And so I have also seen where, we all get really busy, and you can do this in larger jars and take it to like a potluck or a dinner or whatever. And I really loved your idea, especially as fall comes and you're doing Friendsgiving and things like that. What a beautiful way to sort of have a community sharing is to get together and sort of do this like a friends group sort of thing, and then you're meal prepping for the week, but you're also spending beautiful time together. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I promise you it'll be a fun activity as well. It can, because part of any cleanse is that you want to be eating clean and healthy. So, if you're only putting in the good stuff.
And it would help with cravings too. So you're craving, you're hungry, you're grouchy, you don't want to make anything. I mean, that's a really great time to fall off the wagon on a cleanse, is to grab something that you shouldn't be eating and mess up everything. So this would be, I think, a really great thing to do while you're cleansing.
It cuts down on how much shopping you have to do and how much cooking and cleaning you have to do. So it's really a perfect time, because then all you're doing is, like I said, you're opening the fridge up, grabbing something, and you can even take that to work, take it with a fork with you. You can eat right out, or right out of the jar, or you can pour it out onto a plate or a bowl. But in any case, it just makes life really easy. You're not cooking, you're not cleaning, you're not shopping.
And you're doing a couple of different salad dressings, so you'll have variety, and then you've also got variety
Yes.
of what you put in it, right?
That's right. And thanks to, all of your comments when you say what you're looking for next. I think some people had requested salad dressings. So I am going to feature 2 or 3 salad dressings that day as well. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for coming back out and supporting us and being a lovely part of this community. We love seeing all of your smiling faces. We're hoping to continue to do this for a long time, and we look forward to your input. and to spreading the word through our community, because our ultimate goal is to love the people around us and to help people. So if you have someone in your life that you know needs help, please let us know. There's also a list over here with Miss Sandy that has a little piece of paper that will give us ideas of what to do. So like I said, in previous classes, we have taken things like hot dogs, which are pretty terrible in general, and we did carrot dogs one time, which was a healthier alternative. And so you can still go to your barbecue, but you're just going to have a carrot dog. It was rave reviewed by the kids. We have done cooking with kids, which we plan to do again probably in the spring. And so yes, if there are things that you specifically are looking for, if you're like, I really love whatever, what can we do? Fajitas. And I really miss the meat in the fajitas, and I'm trying to do this vegetarian, like, what are some options that I can do? Also, fajita seasonings tend to have a ton of MSG and other really terrible things, and salt. I mean, so much salt in it. So, you know, we can do a seasoned blend that you can keep in your pantry, that you just take a tablespoon out, and it's easy, but it's healthier for you. So there's lots of things that we can do for you. Just give us some ideas on what you would like to see, because ultimately, if we're not giving you what you want, then we're not serving you in our best way. So thank you again for everyone being here. We love you all, and hope you have a great week. We'll see you next month.